So the United States might attack a NATO ally. Yes, not China, not Russia, but Greenland. Sounds insane? That's exactly what Donald Trump is openly suggesting. And then standing on the Davos stage, Trump said something that instantly made headlines around the world. Let's break this down. First, let's look at what Greenland actually is. Greenland, the largest island on Earth that isn't a continent. It's about 6 times the size of Germany, yet only 57,000 people live there. Most of the island is covered by ice year-round. Almost all towns sit along the western and southwestern coast. Beyond that, endless white. Politically, Greenland belongs to Denmark for historical reasons. But it's not just a colony. Since 2009, Greenland has wide autonomy, its own parliament, its own government, control over domestic policy. Denmark still handles foreign policy, defense, security. Greenland follows the Danish constitution and, together with Denmark, is a NATO member. The people of Greenland are Danish citizens, but most political parties in Greenland and a majority of the population support full independence from Denmark. That option is legally on the table, but only via a referendum. And that's where Donald Trump enters the story. Trump has said it clearly. We need Greenland. This isn't new. Over the last 150 years, the US has tried 6 times to buy Greenland. First in 1867. Most recently under Trump, during his first term, it was mostly talk. Denmark said no. End of story. But now, Trump is back, and much more aggressive. In January 2026, reports revealed that Trump allegedly instructed US Special Forces to prepare invasion scenarios. Yes, military invasion of NATO territory. So the big question is, why? Reason 1. Greenland is geographically part of North America, not Europe. If the US controlled Greenland, America's total land area would jump from 10 to over 12 million square kilometers. Trump could literally say, I made America 20% bigger. Make America great by making it bigger. Reason 2. Military strategy. During World War II, the US built military bases in Greenland. One still exists today, the Patuxent Space Base. Greenland sits like a shield in front of North America. If Russia ever launched missiles at the US, the shortest route would be over the North Pole straight across Greenland. That makes the island militarily priceless. Trump also claims Russia and China are already operating ships around Greenland. Scandinavian diplomats say that's not true, but here's what is true. Because Arctic ice is melting, the region is becoming strategically and economically critical, which brings us to the third reason. Money and resources. Greenland is sitting on massive, mostly untapped resources. Rare earth elements, oil, natural gas. Rare earths could make the US less dependent on China. And the oil? Some estimates say the waters around Greenland may contain as much oil as Qatar. If Greenland became American, the US could also claim larger parts of the Arctic seabed, where even more oil is believed to exist. So yes, geopolitically, militarily, and economically, Greenland is a jackpot. But can Trump just take it? Short answer, no. Under international law, Greenland is part of Denmark, a sovereign state. There are only 3 ways Greenland could end up under US control. Option 1. Denmark sells Greenland. That's how the US got Louisiana from France and Alaska from Russia. But this would require approval from the people of Greenland. Highly unlikely. Option 2. Greenland becomes independent via referendum as allowed since 2009, and then chooses to join the USS. The US has compacts of free association with Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau. Greenland could join the list, but polls show Greenlanders do not support joining the US. According to Reuters, the US allegedly discussed paying each Greenlander between $10,000 and $100,000 to influence a future referendum. Legal? Very questionable. Which brings us to Option 3. Military invasion. Illegal. Greenland has no army. Denmark's military presence on the island is minimal. Declare Greenland American territory. Resistance would likely be close to 0 militarily, but the consequences? Massive. Denmark would immediately go to the UN Security Council, but the US has veto power, so nothing would happen. What about NATO? Article 5 says, an attack on one member is an attack on all. But here's the catch. All 32 NATO members must agree in order to act. It counts as an Article 5 attack. The US would obviously vote no, so NATO would be paralyzed. And many experts say, If the US attacks a NATO ally, NATO is finished. European leaders have openly said that. US bases in Europe? All suddenly in question. Trump can order an invasion without Congress at first, but Congress must be informed within 48 hours. After 60 days, troops must withdraw unless Congress approves. So yes, Trump could act, but not without serious political risk. Diplomatically, EU sanctions, visa restrictions, expulsions of diplomats. Strategically, the US could lose Europe as its closest ally, leaving China and Russia stronger. Economically, Greenland might pay off short-term, but long-term sanctions could cancel everything out. Standing on the Davos stage, Trump said something that instantly made headlines around the world. The United States will not use military force to take Greenland. No invasion, no troops, no war, at least officially. Instead, Trump called for immediate negotiations with Denmark and Greenland. That statement matters, because just weeks earlier, reports claimed military options were being prepared behind closed doors. Davos was the first time Trump publicly pulled the emergency brake. However, don't misunderstand this. Trump did not back down on Greenland itself. He doubled down on the message that Greenland is a vital U.S. national security interest. America must have it, and the current situation is not acceptable. So the strategy changed, not the goal. From force to pressure, from tanks to talks, European leaders weren't relieved. Because even without invasion threats, this was still a US president openly questioning NATO unity, Danish sovereignty, and the post-World War II order. Behind the scenes, diplomats described the atmosphere as cold, strained, unsettled. The trust damage? Already done. So, did Davos solve the Greenland crisis? No. What it did was lower the immediate risk of war while raising the level of diplomatic pressure. After Davos, the wood is up to more negotiations, more leverage, more behind-the-scenes deals. Even if the military option is now off the table, there is still immense pressure on Greenland's future. The political battle has fully begun. So here's the real question now. Was the invasion threat ever real? Is this all pressure and negotiation tactics? Or could the US actually invade Greenland? Is a diplomatic solution still possible, or are we watching the collapse of the Western alliance in real time? Because what happens next in Greenland won't just decide the Arctic, it could decide the future of NATO itself. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. See you next time.